All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Getting Back on Track Help is Here webinar with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Public-Private Strategies Institute. Before we get started today, we just want to go over some brief housekeeping. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it into the Q&A function, which you see there at the bottom of your control panel. Just to be clear and to be extra emphasis on it, please don't share any personal information in the Q&A or in the chat. Today's program is all about the New England region. So we're talking about states of Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. We are, of course, this is a part of a series that we've been doing for the last several weeks, and small business owners and folks are welcome to join from across the nation, but we are focusing today on the New England region. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Rhett Buttle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stefan, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, over a few months ago, Public-Private Strategies Institute and the U.S. Small Business Administration have been so honored to launch this series of webinars called Getting Back on Track. We can't understate how important small business owners are to the vibrancy of our country. You are a critical job growth creator. You are the hearts of your communities. And so this initiative is really focused at making sure that you have the educational tools and resources you need to build back better. And from everyone here at the Public-Private Strategies Institute, we're going to continue to work with our partners at the U.S. Small Business Administration and across the whole Biden-Harris administration to make sure that small business owners have all the educational tools that they need. We are so thrilled, as Stefan mentioned at the top, this is part of a broader series that we've been doing. Every webinar that we do almost weekly is open to small business owners across the country, but we also have chosen to dive in regionally to make sure that we're also tailoring information so that it's most helpful to you. Today, we want to provide you with some educational updates about tools and resources at the U.S. Small Business Administration. We also want to talk to you about opportunities to be vaccine leaders in your communities. We know that to get the economy fully going, we have to get communities vaccinated, and research is showing that employers such as yourself are such an important messenger with your communities and in your employees. To make sure that we're doing everything we can to get folks vaccinated. And then finally, we want to talk to you about digital tools and the important role that that plays as well. And COVID-19 has shown the importance of digital tools in helping small business owners grow. And on each of these webinars, we get to have a little bit of a different flavor because we have special guests join us. And so today, it is my extreme pleasure to be able to turn the line over to a very special guest, someone who I've known for many years and had the pleasure of working with in the Obama administration. She's been a fierce advocate for small business owners. She's worked at the White House. She's worked at the Department of Treasury. Now she is firmly seated at the SBA. And in all of those roles, she's been an advocate for business owners of color, women business owners. And so we're so thrilled to be able to have her with us today. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn the conversation over to Bibi Hidalgo. Bibi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rhett. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so grateful to Rhett Buttle, Renee Johnson, Stefan Jordan, and the entire Public-Private Strategies Institute team for inviting my colleagues and me to be with you here today. Public-Private Strategies is an excellent organization, and it provides invaluable support to small businesses around the country. And we're so pleased to see so many of you joining us here today from the New England region. As Rhett mentioned, we know each other from the Obama administration. Had an opportunity to serve together and lead the charge to support small businesses around the United States. He also knew my brother, Patrick, very well. Patrick Hidalgo also worked in the White House, and afterwards he and I started a small business advising corporations on their small and minority business and women-owned business strategy. And over the last year, we've all gone through so much as a country in order to get through this pandemic, and especially small business owners. On March 20th, 2020, I lost my brother, Patrick, at the age of 41, and he's passed away suddenly, which was right at the outset of the pandemic. He did have a pre-existing health condition. So we've all been so deeply impacted, and our family has been so deeply impacted as we got through a difficult and continue a difficult grieving process over this last year and a half. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to speak about our office, Government Contracting and Business Development, which serves and supports small businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned, hub-zone, and veteran-owned businesses across the United States. And this would not be possible right now without the bold vision that President Biden and SBA Administrator Isabel Guzman have laid out for small businesses in our country. President Biden has submitted this administration to fight for all small businesses as well as for racial equity in procurement. On January 20th, 2021, his first day in office, he issued an executive order on racial equity and underserved communities. I believe it's the first time that this has happened related to procurement specifically. SBA will play an important role in that effort, as well as all our partners, including PPSI. The president also recently announced an all-of-government effort to grow federal contracting with small disadvantaged businesses by about 50%. So that would be $100 billion more than what we are currently doing on an annual basis, which is incredibly significant. We also have a number of other executive orders in the works that the president issued, one on supply chain, another on Buy America. We want to be sure that our small business partners and our contractors are very much a part of these two executive orders, which are going to put a significant emphasis on manufacturing in the United States and ensuring that our small business partners are a vital part of rebuilding our supply chain across the country. The federal marketplace is such a key opportunity for small business growth. The government can use its purchasing power to build wealth amongst small businesses who we see as the economic engines of our country. The economic landscape has changed, but during this recovery, we all share the same goals: to maximize utilization of small businesses interested in prime and subcontracting opportunities. And within my office in particular, we have 160 staff dedicated to ensuring that we provide support all across the spectrum in becoming both a subcontractor to corporations that contract with the federal government and eventually a prime so that you can partner directly with the federal agencies. There is currently close to $140 billion in small business contracts that the United States government issues on an annual basis. This is somewhat unique to the United States, and it's a model for the world and for also state and local governments, because we have a United States law that is focused on creating small business set-asides. And we encourage all small businesses to take advantage of this unique opportunity that we have in our country. There's a lot of opportunity on the table, and our government contracting programs might offer you the chance to show your innovative talents and deliver on your unique products and services that will be an important service to our government. So now I want to transition a little bit here to some of the programs that we have specifically. And they're going to put up a couple of slides here to guide you through it. We, as I mentioned, we do about anywhere from 130 to 140 billion a year in small business contracts. The entire budget for federal contracting is actually a little bit higher now. We have there 500 billion. We're up to about 539 billion across 24 CFO Act agencies. So this includes Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Veterans Affairs, Health and Human Services, and all the major cabinet agencies. Fortunately, the United States Congress decided we need to hit at least a 23% goal on an annual basis of contracting with small businesses, and that is actually prime contracting. So there are three opportunities to partner with the U.S. government. One is just full and open competition, bidding for a contract opportunity. Another, as I mentioned, are through small business set-asides, where they determine if two or more businesses can do the work, then it needs to be set aside for a small business. And then the third, finally, is a sole source award. We have a program within government contracting and business development here at SBA called the 8A program. It's a program that United States Congress created several decades ago. It came on the heels of the Civil Rights Movement. And it was to ensure that minority-owned businesses had an opportunity to also partner with the federal government. The 8A program has had a really significant impact. It's part of the small disadvantaged business category that we have in the federal government, which we'll get to the categories in a moment. But essentially, if you're able to certify as an 8A firm, and that is also done through our office, then federal buyers, program buyers across the 24 agencies can do a sole source award with any 8A certified firms. It's a 9-year period only to be an 8A. And this is something that you can find out more about at your local SBA district office or any of our resource partners. So in the next slide, we'll get to that here. I went through this a bit already. For sole source, as I mentioned, it was something that was authorized by the U.S. Congress. And we have the specific 8A program. Now, apart from that, there is a sole source option within the women-owned small business program. It's called the Economically Disadvantaged. And you can also find out some more about that at your local SBA district office or any of our, again, resource partners or procurement technical assistance centers that are run by the Department of Defense, which are an excellent partner to SBA. And then finally, here in our third slide, I'm going to walk you through all the programs that we have. We have the Women-Owned Small Business Program, and Congress has determined that we need to aim for a 5% of all federal contracting for women-owned small businesses on an annual basis. Again, that's across all 24 of the CFO federal agencies. The small disadvantaged business, which I just mentioned, includes the 8A program, and that's a 5% goal as well established by Congress. This is what the president just announced over a month ago now, that he wants to increase to 15%. Then the Hub Zone program it's a 3% goal. That is based on where your business is located. If you are in, you can check the Hub Zone map, which is created by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And if you are located in a Hub Zone area, your actual business office, and you hire at least 35% of your employees from a Hub Zone, it doesn't have to be specifically where you're located, but any Hub Zone, then you may be eligible for a Hub Zone business set-asides. And that's also a certification process through our office. It doesn't take as long as 8A, and so it's something that you can consider, and also you can be a part of it indefinitely. Finally, our service-disabled veteran small business designation, there is a 3% goal, again, established by Congress. Historically, this has been within the Department of Veteran Affairs, and they just recently decided, Congress, that it will be coming to our office. And so we will be certifying all the service-disabled veteran-owned businesses that seek to be to essentially be certified through SBA, as well as veteran-owned small businesses, which has also been done historically through the Veterans Affairs Agency. So I encourage you to find out more about this online. You can go to sba.gov/federal contracting. And once you do that, speak to our partners all over the United States who can walk you through the opportunities that we have, where you find out about contract opportunities, how you can start building relationships with buyers. We have 3,000 buyers across all 24 agencies that are seeking to partner with businesses on a daily basis. And so we encourage you to reach out and become part of that network that can really help to build your base of business. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yes. Hey, Vivi, it's Renee. Really excited to ask you a couple questions. And I know a few people want to know, how can the SBA help them as a small business get started with obtaining a contracting opportunity with the federal government?
again, I would say, look at the website first, get a feel for what it is, but then don't stop there. Definitely go into one of our district offices. I have one of the maps right behind me, and we have it in our SBA website. It is an enormous resource for all small businesses across the US. They can talk to you about not only capital access and entrepreneurial development, but as well as government contracting. And so these district offices are here to serve you, to serve our country. You can seek some of these certifications with the support of the staff that we have there. And so you wouldn't need to pay because, you know, there's always the option of paying a consultant to help with the certification process, but our small business offices are also experts in this. And so we encourage you to use that resource. But apart from that, we also have a number of resource partners. And I think they're going to be talking a little bit about this too later in this webinar. We have the small business development centers that partner with our Office of Entrepreneurial Development. There's the women-owned, the Women Entrepreneurial Business Centers that also SBA partners with. And then the PTACs, as I mentioned, which are through DoD. So those are all centers all across the US that are there for you to serve you. There's no charge at all involved, and they have the expertise about all these programs. So we encourage you to use them.
Great. And then what is the criteria for a business to obtain a contract with the government?
So we do have, as I mentioned, the overall small business goal of 23%. And so you can actually self-certify as a small business if you go to sam.gov, or you actually go to our website, sba.gov, it'll direct you to SAM. So you can self-certify for small business. You can also self-certify for small disadvantaged business, which is really important, again, given the president's most recent announcement that he wants to increase the goal to 15%. So both of those, you can go online to start the process. Now, if you want to become 8A certified, that's where it's a lot more involved. Because it is a sole source program, we go through a very, very rigorous certification process, but it's well worth it if you think that you could qualify. And so by going to one of our local offices, you can find out more if you can qualify. You can also research it a bit online, and then they can walk you through the certification process. Again, with all of them, HubZone and Service Disabled Veteran. Once you're in the network in any one of those 5 categories, and you start to think about, well, what kind of services you want to provide and which agencies make most sense, then you can also reach out to the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business at any one of those federal agencies. All the agencies have what they call an OSDBU office, Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And sometimes there's variation in the actual names of the offices, but they are also there to be your point of reference for all the contract opportunities available at that agency. So I think beginning by starting with going to the local resource partners, getting a sense of where you would like to provide your services, looking at some of the contract opportunities. Again, they're all posted on a website called Federal Procurement Database System. It's a little bit more challenging to navigate, so one of our local resource partners can help with that. And then once you get a general sense of where you think you can partner the best or get your foot in the door, then reach out to those agencies, small business offices. And you may also want to consider working with a prime contractor first to get a feel for it and be a sub before then seeking to be a direct prime to the federal government. But regardless, we encourage you to pursue that path all the way to becoming a prime, because we have the United States Congress and the President on our side, and the Small Business Administration, which is focused on making sure we can partner directly with you.
Wow, BB, so much information. And I know, we could spend hours with you talking about contracting procurement. So I guess that means we have to do this again at a later date. So we can spend hours with you, but we thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me here. And I'm excited that you're going to get to connect with other members of our team here who are wonderful. So congratulations again on this, the great work you're doing, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, BB. So we're going to continue on, and we're going to talk more about some of the other opportunities as small business owners need financial resources. 9 out of 10 firms sought some type of emergency funding to help meet financing challenges during the pandemic, and 82% sought a PPP loan. So we're going to talk about forgiveness today, and more specifically, also Congress passed several laws, including the American Rescue Plan, ARP, and CARES Act, which focus on helping small businesses and consumers alike. Next slide, please. So we're going to go into 3 sections for the remaining portion of this webinar today, which are going to talk about relief options available to you and your business. We're going to talk about the role of vaccines and getting back to business. And then finally, taking your business digital. So next slide. I'm so excited to introduce to you guys Miss Amy Bassett. She currently serves as the District Director of SBA's New Hampshire District Office and also the Acting Regional Administrator for the SBA's New England Regional Office. She oversees SBA's financial export, disaster relief, government contracting, and business development programs for the 6 New England states. Ms. Bassett received her bachelor's degree in business management from Plymouth State College, graduating magna cum laude. She began her career with the SBA in New Hampshire district office in 1990 and held a variety of positions during her time with that office, which include Deputy District Director and Lender Relations Specialist. She is a graduate of the Partnership for Public Service Excellence in Government Fellows Program and is presently the member of the Plymouth State University Alumni Association. I'm so excited to introduce you all to Ms. Bassett. Thank you so much for joining us today, Amy.
Great, thank you, Renee, and thank you for that terrific introduction. And I'd love to jump right into this next slide, please. So since the beginning of the pandemic, SBA has been tasked with delivering many programs, new programs, to directly aid small businesses and certain nonprofits who have been significantly impacted due to the pandemic. We know that many venues that hold concerts, plays, dance performances, movies, and museums have been extremely hard hit. All of those were among the first that had to close due to the COVID. Through the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program, to date, SBA has awarded more than $3.2 billion in grant funding to 4,222 recipients. Currently, the processing of these applications is ongoing, and more funds are being awarded every day. But we want to be sure that everyone is aware that applications for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant are still being accepted. Another extremely hard-hit sector is the food and beverage industry. And this program, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, provided direct funding to restaurants and other food service businesses to help them recover and rebuild. As of June 30th, the program received more than 278,000 eligible applications for over $72.2 billion in requested funds. Late last week, our administrator announced the closure of the program with more than 101,000 applications approved for approximately $28.6 billion. With the closure of RRF, SBA is continuing to administer aid through other programs to help these impacted businesses. Next slide, please. You've heard a lot of mention about the Paycheck Protection Program, and this was the first new program that SBA launched back in April of 2020, and it really provided a significant amount of relief to small businesses and eligible nonprofits. The program was designed to be a forgivable loan, provided that key criteria was met, including that the loan proceeds were mainly used to keep workers on the payroll. And up to 40% could also be used for eligible business expenses. Currently, the program is closed for accepting new applications, but the processing of forgiveness requests is ongoing. And we know that many businesses find themselves at this stage with their PPP loan. So you'll see here the steps that you go through in order to request forgiveness. But please note that you as the business owner are going to be dealing directly with the lender throughout the process to get your loan forgiven. So the best thing to do is compile all your documentation and submit your application to your lender as soon as you are able, and then they will take the process and walk it through the system from that point forward. Since SBA began processing forgiveness requests, efforts have been significant in trying to streamline this process, and there will be probably additional efforts going forward to continue to streamline the process. So we are advising folks to get going early, but stay tuned for more improvements as we move along. Next slide, please. So many businesses have a greater awareness of SBA now, given all the pandemic relief that we've delivered through the pandemic. But we're going to talk now about the host of established programs that help businesses start, grow, and thrive. So in the area of helping businesses get greater access to capital, this is a snapshot of the programs that we have, which I'm going to cover in greater detail on the next slides. So next slide, please. Here you're going to see some brief information on our main access to capital programs. You'll hear throughout this presentation how SBA leverages partnerships to deliver our programs and services. For our loan programs, we partner with banks, credit unions, and many non-bank lenders to help provide greater access to capital by backing loans that are made by the lending institutions. Our most widely used program is the 7A program, which is used to support lending that meets most business needs. The starting point would be applying at a lending institution. The 504 program is widely used throughout New England, and it's a terrific option if you're looking to purchase a building, build a building, or potentially refinance debt on a building that your business occupies. It can also be used for significant equipment purchases. Currently, the terms and the interest rate are extremely favorable for this program. I also want to be sure that we mention that we currently speaking through September 30th of 2021, the SBA is able to reduce upfront guarantee fees and ongoing fees to zero for the 7A and 504 program. This can be a tremendous cost savings to the borrower, so we don't want folks to miss out on that if they're thinking of applying for an SBA-backed loan. The microloan program is designed to provide access to financing and technical assistance through SBA-approved intermediaries. These loans can be very helpful to those starting out or growing a business that need a more flexible financing. Next slide, please. Lender Match was designed by SBA to help those business owners who may be struggling to develop a lending relationship that meets their needs. Through Lender Match, a business owner, after completing a basic online form, can potentially be matched with a lender or lenders who are interested in trying to help them obtain the financing they need. A wide variety of lenders participate in Lender Match, and it can be very helpful to the smallest businesses who may not have or don't necessarily need that traditional lending relationship. Through these lenders, you can access the programs that I just talked about on the previous slides as well. Next slide, please. Many more are familiar with SBA's disaster relief programs, again, due to the pandemic, but we also want to note the role that these programs play in helping businesses and nonprofits recover from a physical disaster and the economic impacts of a disaster. These programs are well established at SBA and help not only business owners, but also homeowners as they rebuild and recover after a natural or declared disaster. Once the disaster is declared, applicants then can apply directly online to SBA for this assistance. Next slide, please. For those early stage businesses who are looking for investment rather than traditional debt financing, the SBIC program is a great option to consider. SBA funds a network of licensed small business investment companies which then use SBA funds and their own funds to invest in qualified companies. The funding can take various forms, and there are some business characteristics that are a better fit for this type of funding than others. Often these businesses are mature and poised for significant growth, and many SBICs use an investment profile in determining which businesses they can fund. Next slide, please. The Surety Bond program is not as widely known, but this is a great program for a business that needs bonding to bid or perform on certain contracts. This is a great program that dovetails nicely with the programs that BB was talking about that we have to help support businesses looking to do business with the government. Similar to our SBA-backed loans, SBA backs a surety bond so that the business can obtain the bonding and then obtain more or larger contracts to grow their business. There's a very active network of surety bonding agents that participates in the program. Next slide, please. SBA also administers 2 programs that help a diverse portfolio of startups and small businesses across technology areas and markets to support innovation and meet federal research needs. For those of you interested in learning more about SBIR and STTR, July 19th kicks off National SBIR Week, which will be a virtual collaborative outreach effort to connect entrepreneurs working on advanced technologies and the organizations that support them. There's a terrific number of educational and matchmaking opportunities that are going to be happening next week, so definitely tune into that and don't miss that opportunity. Next slide, please. SBA has another program area just focused on helping businesses explore and increase access to global markets. Through our international trade programs and the staff that supports these programs, SBA can help businesses that are looking to diversify and connect with markets throughout the world. We have specific lending programs to support these efforts, but we also administer the STEP grant program, which we'll see on the next slide. The State Trade Expansion Program is again a partnership for the SBA. We leverage state-based organizations who administer and handle the grant program for us. These grants can be used for many purposes in support of exporting your product or service, or even just exploring these options. You'll see here a list of many of the eligible purposes for the STEP grant program. Next slide, please. You've heard me talk a lot about partnerships and how SBA leverages those. One of the most important networks of partners that we have is our Sba Resource Partners, who provide no cost, individualized, and confidential one-on-one business advising and offer a lot of low-cost training opportunities. Throughout New England, we have a very strong long-term network that includes many of the organizations that you see here, but specifically the Small Business Development Centers, SCORE, the Women's Business Centers, and the Veterans Business Outreach Centers. There are advisors covering every state throughout the region, and please don't miss out on the opportunity to access their vital help. These partners have been doing an amazing job for us throughout the pandemic, and they are still available, always available, to help any business at any stage. Next slide, please. Finally, I did want to mention the Community Navigator program. This is a new program at the SBA, and this is going to help us expand our partner network as we look to ensure that we're reaching the smallest of the small businesses in underserved and rural communities. This funding opportunity is open to certain nonprofits, and they are available to apply through July 23rd for this new program. So that is my quick SBA in a nutshell update, and I'll turn it back over to Renee.
Thanks so much, Amy. We also want to just let people know that in addition to the SBA, there are private sector support out there with a simple Google search. You can find some. Please be careful. There are predatory loans out there and predatory companies. So make sure you do your due diligence, do your research, and make sure that you are finding good private sector support systems out there. Next slide, please. And with that, there's also state and local government programs as well. So check your state and local Office of Economic Development and Department of Commerce to see what might be available in your communities as well for impacted COVID relief for your small business. Next slide, please. Now we're going to hop into the role of vaccines and getting back to business. And I'm really excited that we have with us today Jeffrey Wu. Next slide, please. We have Mr. Wu, who is the Deputy Director for the Consumer, it's a lot right here, sorry, Consumer Information and Insurance Oversight at the CMS. And where he's there where he leads the center's work for promulgating policy and regulations for many of the Affordable Care Act's health insurance reforms, including the health insurance marketplaces, including SHOP, the premium stabilization programs, advanced payments of the premium tax credit, and cost sharing reductions, the co-op program, regulation of qualified health plans, and eligibility enrollment standards. He oversees the center's communication stakeholders outreach and data analysis work and serves as a member of the center's senior leadership team. He previously served in various policy positions at CCIIO as an attorney at the law firm of Covington and Burlington LLP, and as a management consultant with Oliver Wyman and Company. He received an AB in economics from Harvard College, a JD from Stanford Law School, and an MBA from Stanford Business School. And with that, I present to you Mr. Wu.
Renee, thank you so much for that introduction. Renee and Rhett, I'm so honored and happy to have a chance to speak on this call. Thanks so much for the Private Public Strategies Institute for putting these sessions together. I don't have any slides. I just wanted to cover a number of topics. I thought I would start with a discussion of what is going on with the exchanges, the availability of health coverage, which is so important today, both through the small business exchanges and the individual market exchanges, which may be very relevant to a lot of the folks on this call. And then maybe say a word or two about vaccines at the end and how they connect to to health coverage and the availability of vaccines in general. So to start, of course, small businesses have very complex needs for providing health coverage to their employees. I'm going to cover a number of possibilities on that front that are available today. The marketplace, of course, or the exchanges, as they're sometimes called, or healthcare.gov, which is the enterprise that my team runs. That's a resource, not only a place to purchase comprehensive health coverage, but it's a resource for understanding the options that are available. We have a lot of information on our website. Small businesses in particular have a number of options. There are small business focused plans that are made available through the Affordable Care Act and the Small Business Health Options Program, or SHOP. These are qualified health plans that you purchase directly from carriers in almost all states that have to meet certain standards that provide health coverage, dental coverage, and that gives small employers the ability to purchase coverage. Now, in the past, that was often difficult because of medical underwriting and norms in that market. SHOP plans are also the only way to qualify for the small business healthcare tax credit, which can be worth up to 50% of the employer's contribution to premium costs for a number of years. And so if you are interested in SHOP coverage, you can take a look at healthcare.gov to find the plans in your area, see if they're eligible for the small business tax credit. And there are agents and brokers that you can get connected to through healthcare.gov and through state exchanges and sort of generally in your local area that are registered with SHOP, that are registered with the exchanges that can connect you. There are other alternatives than straight up small group coverage. In the last number of years, we have developed, well, there was a statute passed, the Qualified Small Employer HRA, QSERA, it's quite a mouthful, that was passed that allows small employers with fewer than 50 employees to make HRA contributions to employees' healthcare costs. And there's a cap on that. And then employees can take that money, they can pay their premiums and get reimbursements. So it's essentially a tax advantage way to help your employees pick up coverage. More recently, there's a variation of that called the Individual Coverage HRA that allows employers with at least one employee, so long as you have one employee, to provide, again, defined non-tax reimbursements to your employees for qualified medical expenses. So again, you set up an HRA account. That money can be used by the members of the HRA, by the employees to pay for premiums, to pay for cost sharing, deductibles, that sort of stuff. There's no maximum as to how much employers can contribute, and there are sort of resources, accountants and the like that can help set those up if that is something that makes sense. Of course, reimbursements under either of these programs, QSERA or ICHRA, they are tax advantaged. They're tax free as an expense, and they're non-taxable to the employee. Self-employed individuals. I've been thinking about people like gig workers, freelancers, consultants, independent contractors, or business owners that don't have employees. They can go to the individual marketplace or healthcare.gov, the individual market exchanges, to get coverage for themselves and their families. So they don't have to come through the employer route. They can sort of come through the individual route. And there's a huge advantage there because the American Rescue Plan, which was passed earlier this year, provides a very significant increase in the generosity of tax subsidies that are available for people purchasing coverage through healthcare.gov, through the state exchanges. This includes lots of people who were not eligible in the past. So anyone who would have been eligible for these premium tax subsidies, that is sort of anyone sort of under 400% of the federal poverty level, those subsidies are increased, so they can buy better coverage and pay less for it. And for folks over 400% who previously were not eligible for subsidies at all, that cap has been lifted. So the intent here is to make individual market coverage available and affordable to anyone, so that no one has to pay more than a certain percentage of their income. Lots of people can come and find coverage, very, very high quality coverage that is free. In particular, recently, we have implemented a provision of the American Rescue Plan that provides enhanced tax subsidies to individuals who have received at least 1 week of unemployment compensation this year. Under the American Rescue Plan, folks that fit into that bucket, again, sort of folks who have received unemployment compensation for at least 1 week this year, are eligible for the highest level of subsidies on the individual market exchanges. So you can come onto the exchange and you can find a free plan. That of course can really dramatically increase the availability of this kind of coverage. You do have to, even if you're an existing customer on the exchanges. Yes. Even if you're an existing enrollee on the exchanges, you need to come back in to take advantage of these tax subsidies. You need to come back into your account. You have to update the account because now there's a question as to whether you did qualify for at least a week of unemployment compensation. You put yes, and then these subsidies become available. And so under the American Rescue Plan, we've seen premiums just for across the board, not just for folks in that bucket. We've seen premiums increase such that, premiums decrease because of these new subsidies by about $50 per person per month. We have seen about 4 to 5 enrollees who come to the individual market exchange find a plan for $10 or less. And as I was saying, many of them can find plans for free. Over 50% of folks can find a silver plan, which is the level of plan coverage that provides reduced deductibles and co-payments and the like for eligible individuals for $10 or less. We have going on right now a special enrollment period. Normally, of course, with coverage, you have to sort of enroll sort of before the beginning of the plan year. In the individual market, that is usually a calendar. That is always a calendar year. With group plans that can vary, but we have in place through August 15th, as my background indicates, a special enrollment period so that anyone can come in during this time and and apply and get coverage. We have through May 31st, we have enrolled 1.2 million Americans who've come in and signed up for new or enhanced health insurance during that period. We're about to announce new numbers very shortly that will show that these numbers have jumped. And that's only in the healthcare.gov states, which is 36 states. If you add in the state-based exchanges, the numbers go up even more substantially. And so the last point I wanted to make had to do with COVID. Because of the programs that are in place by the federal government, COVID vaccines today are available for everyone, regardless of coverage status. So I am here encouraging you to spread the word and to check out options through the exchanges if that makes sense, or check out other coverage options, because of course, at a time of a public health emergency, I do think it's very, very important that everyone have coverage available to them. Treatment is available through that coverage and the like. But notwithstanding coverage status, vaccines, COVID vaccines are available to everyone for free. Any provider of vaccines, whether that be a pharmacy or a physician or a hospital or whatever, is obligated under their terms with the federal government to provide that vaccine for free, no co-pays, no nothing, to anyone who comes to them for those vaccinations. And the federal government is paying for for the vaccines themselves, and either insurance or a federal program is paying for the administration of the vaccine. So nothing goes back to the individual. And so I certainly want to urge those folks who have not been vaccinated to consider that, and for those who have, to encourage their employees, their colleagues, their friends and family members to do the same. And so I'm also happy to take any questions if we have time. Back to you, Renee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wu. We're going to get to questions in a couple of moments. We're just going to finish up really quickly and talking about taking your business digital. We talked about vaccines and making sure you learn about the tax credit that are available. Definitely talk to your tax provider and prepare to make sure that you qualify. Make sure that you understand what those tax credits are, because you may actually qualify and help out with whatever plan you decide to have as an employer for your employees to take leave and or able to get vaccinated, or if they happen to have time to recover for their vaccine. So now we're going to talk about moving digital. And in a recent McKinsey survey found that small business owners are now 3 times more likely than before the crisis to have some percentage of their customers to come from a digital online source. The pandemic created opportunities to move digital capabilities, and more businesses are utilizing this. More specifically, web presence for awareness, e-commerce capabilities, and digital fulfillment where there's no touch where possible. Next slide, please. And moving your business digital, we want to make sure that you're assessing your business to make sure that you have fully implemented digital resources. And you should ask yourself these questions. Do you have a website? Do you have ways to receive payments digitally? And more specifically, can you do contact transactions, fulfillments where there is no contact with your customers. And if you're able to answer that, you're moving in the right direction and making sure that you're taking your business digitally. Next slide, please. I'm so happy to bring back Amy Bassett from the Associate Administrator from the New England region to talk more specifically about her region and some of the services and locations in where you can connect with the SBA.
Great, thank you, Renee. And you'll see here on this slide all of the contact information for the 6 states that comprise New England. We're so fortunate to have experienced leadership in all of our states and terrific teams in all of our states. And honestly, I cannot be more proud of the work that has been done up until this point with helping businesses through the pandemic, helping make sure they get access to all of the SBA programs. So at any point in time, you can feel free to reach out to our offices. And I will say that even if we cannot directly help, we will try to provide you with resources that could help and connect you to those resources. So this is something that we do regularly. This is our work. We do outreach and marketing, and we market the agency's programs locally, and we partner with local organizations. And those partnerships also were critical in the pandemic because they helped us get out information, helped us stand up webinars, and just do a tremendous amount of outreach. So everyone should feel free to reach out to their local district office at any point.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to ask a couple questions. We have numerous questions that have come in. There's a lot of energy from people who just are very inquisitive right now. So Mr. Wu, excuse me, and Ms. Bassett, just want to have both of you on to ask a couple questions before we conclude today. One question for you, Amy, is what's the difference between regional and district offices in terms of services?
So there's definitely no wrong door when it comes to SBA. Whoever picks up the phone is going to try their best and is going to help you. But the regional office is really kind of structured for more of the, overseeing the functions of the region. So I would definitely say start at your local district office if you need to directly reach out to SBA, because we know the state you're in, the resources available to you, and can best plug you into those.
Thank you. Jeff, when is the occasion that a small business owner would connect with CMS?
So most folks who connect with CMS, whether they be small, large, or business owners or individuals, will come connect with us to get coverage. So they come through healthcare.gov and come in as a consumer and purchase. Like I said, there are arrangements that you can make to provide coverage for your employees through those mechanisms as well, individual coverage HRAs and QSARAs. The other way in which sort of CMS permeates the healthcare landscape is even if you are a business that is getting your healthcare coverage through the private market, through a Blues carrier or something else, the Affordable Care Act provides for certain protections from all insurance, including large group insurance, and CMS, along with our colleagues at the Departments of Labor and Treasury, are really instrumental in ensuring those protections come through.
Awesome. Amy, is technical assistance provided to small business owners when they come to a local office?
To a certain extent, yes. So we are equipped to give some, general information and connect people to resources. But I would say the digging deep and the intense technical assistance is definitely provided by our resource partners that I listed off: SBDC, SCORE, the Women's Business Centers, and the VBOC. And I just strongly encourage anybody who's at any stage to reach out to these folks for assistance.
And I'm going to end with one question for both of you that is going to be the same. Are your offices open for people to come inside currently and do business? If so, how can they come? And if not, what can people do in order to connect with your offices? And we could start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, we're not really set up for individuals to come in. We do have there's obviously the website healthcare.gov. We have a call center that's available 24/7 to help folks with stuff. And this is not just Affordable Care Act coverage and the exchange and stuff. There are you know, if you are on Medicare or have questions like that, all of those can come in through those channels. To pick up on something that Amy mentioned also, there are lots of resources out there that we facilitate and work with to make sure that folks on the ground can get information from other living people. We have navigators whom we fund who are out there to help people get into coverage. Agents and brokers in all states are licensed with us to help people get into coverage and provide that information and the like. And we have a whole network of regional offices that you know, that are equipped to sort of quickly follow up on calls, emails, all of that to sort of get issues resolved.
Amy?
Sure. We too are not exactly equipped yet to get back to having folks visit us in our offices. But again, we haven't missed a beat throughout the pandemic. We have access to online platforms if somebody wants to meet with us online directly. Phone, email have been extremely accessible in that regard. And we also have tried to put in an extra focus on doing our outreach in different languages. We've hosted many webinars in other languages and have access to those types of services too, if that's needed.
Amazing. Want to thank you both. Jeff, one last thing for you. I'm getting a lot of messages. Can you repeat your web address for everyone to go to?
Sure, absolutely. Healthcare.gov. That is our central web address for all of the exchanges. If the question does not have to do with sort of purchasing coverage and the like, that is more sort of policy or technical or something else or Medicare related, of course, CMS.gov itself is our central website, and we have plenty of resources and ways to connect with us.
Well, thank you both for being here. We really appreciate the time you all spend with us. A couple of quick things before we depart for today. We are excited that, you know, this webinar was such a success, and we know that there were a lot of things on the screen that were there, website addresses and all that. So a copy of this webinar will be sent in an email to you if you registered. Additionally, it's being live streamed onto Facebook to the SBA Facebook page, as well as Public-Private Strategies Facebook page, so you can actually go back and review it. But also, if you register today, you will receive an email tomorrow. So you'll see a whole copy of this with the PowerPoint and everything. So you'll have all the links. So we're really excited that you'll be able to have this information and review it for your needs as well. Additionally, the U.S. Small Business Administration will host the 2021 National Small Business Week virtual summit from September 13th through the 15th. So please stay tuned to sba.gov for more information as it becomes readily available. It is free. There is no cost to attend. So make sure that you are preparing yourselves for it, because it will be with a lot of information, resources, tools, and opportunities to engage with the SBA. And finally, if you have any SBA related questions, answer desk at sba.gov. And if you have any questions about a copy of the webinar that we are viewing today, events at publicprivatestrategies.com. And again, as we conclude, this is a series of Getting Back on Track webinars that you're viewing today with the New England region. Next Thursday, we will be doing the Great Plains and Pacific Northwest regions on Thursday, July 15, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington State. You can go to publicprivatestrategies.com/back on track to register. And then also subsequent webinars are Southeast and Atlantic regions on July 22nd, Rocky Mountain regions on July 29th, and Mid-Atlantic region on August 5th. So we hope to see you at an upcoming webinar. There'll be more speakers and more information about the SBA. And with that, we would like to conclude today's webinar, and thank you all so much for joining us today. Have a great week.